All right, guys, I got something on my mind. So, I guess in general, what I'm wondering or what I'm thinking about in a concept like, what my channel is Concepts with Kimbler, and the idea behind that is because in fighting, a lot of times I get ideas and then I like testing them out, or I like thinking them through, and not every idea is going to be a home run. Like, and a lot of things I feel like are just conceptual rather than just as simple as black and white and just do this and that's it. It's like there's really a concept you have to apply to success. But something I've been hearing a lot, or I guess, yeah, I've been hearing it a lot lately, although it's not like a popular topic right now. But as many of y'all probably know, I listen to Chael Sonnen a lot, and something he's really started pushing, I feel like within the past year or 6 months, is he will adamantly talk about how he doesn't believe in reach. He's like, they talk about reach, and it's like one person's arms being longer than the other does not give them an advantage. Then he'll turn right around and he'll say that this one particular or two particular fighters know how to actually use their range and reach. So it's tricky, but he said something once where it was like, if you actually go look up the statistics from who has a longer reach, it doesn't typically favor the person with the longer reach. Not that it favors the other one. And he sort of sums this up by being like, Mike Tyson was never a longer reach than anyone he beat up, and he dominated. And I'm like, that really got me thinking when he kind of worded it with Mike, and I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. And that got me working on, I wouldn't say clinch work, but like being inside, like in recognizing. And me and Wild Wayne got to talking about this. I'm pretty sure it was Wayne. I know I was teaching it there for a moment to several people, but it seems like a lot of the people that train with me, they're long-armed like me, like they're long and lanky. And when you get in close to someone, you don't have the space to move your arms around. Like, the closer you are to someone, the shorter you want your arms to be so that you can throw multiple types of strikes. Like, I can't really throw my ones and twos when someone's up on me, and it feels like a lot of energy to bring a hook around because my arms are long. So this would be better if I was standing up and could kind of demonstrate it. But in general, I think you get the idea. And then when I've got one particular guy, I haven't seen him in a couple weeks, but he's shorter and shorter arms. So I've been teaching him the opposite. I'm teaching him to close the space and get in there and make it ugly, and we're going to build the hooks and the uppercuts from there. But, okay. So in general, in a striking aspect, it's like Chael's pointing out that range doesn't work. I listened to Elon Musk. Well, before I do that, let's talk about O'Malley and Merab had a face-off. Oh, I'm getting more and more where I'm not a fan of O'Malley. It's like he reminds me of those preppy kids from high school that just wanted to be cool, but they weren't really good at anything. And if they achieve that like preppy status, then they don't want someone else to like achieve that status. You know what I mean? That's really what O'Malley's starting to remind me of. Because on multiple occasions, it looks like Merab's just trying to be cool and have a conversation with them. Several times, it's like, dude, say my name so we can have this fucking fight. And I get why he's saying that. And O'Malley's just sort of a fucking dick to him. Like an absolute dick. So it looks like they're facing off in front of the Sphere for a photo shoot. And they start having a conversation. And it sounds like Merab is saying something about fighting Max Holloway. And he was trying to be on the same page as O'Malley, from what I could tell, and O'Malley just wasn't having it. And he was like, weight classes exist for a reason. You'd get killed. Max would kill you, blah, blah. Now, I could have misheard something. Maybe they were talking about someone else. But 145 to 135 isn't that big of a change. Like, that's not the fucking weight class difference of someone's getting killed. It's just not. I don't care what anyone says. It's just not. But I thought it was interesting. I've also seen where, like, just to stick with O'Malley, back in the day, someone asked how he would do against Israel, and he's like, I'd get KO'd in 30 seconds. He's like, there's weight classes for a reason. As opposed, I don't know if anyone saw this or not, but Ronda Rousey recently said that if there was no time limit, she could. Now, this is going to sound harsh because she wasn't being as blatantly whatever, but she's like, if there's no time limit, she could beat Francis Ngannou. I think it was Francis they were talking. I'm pretty sure it was Francis they were talking about. And now a knee-jerk reaction to that, if you hear someone talking, they're going to be like, Ronda said she could beat Francis. That's not quite what was going on. It's more of a mindset thing, and it's more of a, with the no time limit, knowing you just need one moment. You need the one moment for everything to go right. And if you can survive until that moment, you can win a fight. And I totally get what she's saying. But it's interesting how those two people have two completely different outlooks. O'Malley just folds right over if someone's bigger than him. And there's some politics in that. I could get why he's not going to say anything about Israel. Oh, man, I'm going to get stopped at a train. I never get stopped at this train. Guess I'm going to be able to focus on the video, guys. All right, so, man, train going honk and it's going to, like, make noise. That was pretty obvious. It's going to make my video sound weird. All right, anyways, all right, so we're talking about O'Malley. What was the third one? The O'Malley one just kind of came out. Oh, I was listening to Elon Musk. Guys, I'm sorry. I didn't know I would be parked next to a train. Oh, man, I don't even know where it's at. This might take a while. God dog it. Anyways, I was listening to Elon Musk. And we're just going to pause this till this train gets by. All right, so the main part of the train's gone. If you can hear the ticking in the background, I don't know how long I'll be here, so I'm just going to keep going. But, all right, so I'm listening to Elon Musk on Rogan, and this is from a couple months back because they talked about Vulcan. No, that was a different one. That was Aaron Rodgers. Anyways, it was from a while back. I feel like it was from not quite a year ago, but they said Happy Halloween at the beginning. Yeah, so last Halloween. All right. It was when Musk and Zuckerberg were rumored to fight. And they end up saying in the podcast, it's like that Rome agreed to allow them to use the Colosseum. And then, I don't know what. I remember it falling apart because it seemed like Elon was kind of joking around a lot about it. And Zuckerberg was trying to take it serious. And then finally Zuckerberg was like, look, he's not taking it serious, so I'm going to move on. The issue with all this fighting, the issue with them two fighting was always the weight class. A lot of us, Elon's a lot bigger than Zuck. I feel like Zuck is probably, I don't know his height, but I figure he's like 5'10", 150. I don't know. And then Elon's like 275, 280. He might not be that much, but I feel like he's 6'2", 6'3", 6'4". So there's a big difference. And something else a lot of people didn't recognize. Zuck started training MMA, but I can tell you by watching the training that Zuck did, Zuck hadn't, at least in the stuff I had seen at the time, Zuck hadn't really been thrown in the fire, at least in striking. It looked like he was kind of grappling hard, but like, I was watching him do some striking with like some, I think it was Volk, and I was like, oh boy, okay. And that's not a knock or anything. I'm not trying to knock the guy at all. But it was like several of my friends were like, Zuckerberg's going to be able to whoop Musk because he's been training. Well, it turns out Elon's done over a decade of martial arts, and he's done judo, karate, and this and that. And he ends up talking about a couple moves specific, like, and he ends up being like, weight classes exist for a reason. I'd fight Zuckerberg anytime. Like, I don't have to train or whatever. I'm a lot bigger than him, and it is what it is. So I do all that 10-minute rant. Basically, Zuckerberg saying he'd just get on top of, he calls it the walrus, He says he'd just get on top of him and lay on him, and there's nothing he's going to be able to do. And then Joe Rogan points out how a lot of smaller grapplers can outdo big grapplers, which is what brought me to this video. So if you've made it this far, I've given a couple different examples of people taking different approaches. Like I feel like the knee-jerk reaction approach would be like in combat, the bigger person has an advantage, assuming they're in shape. Like if you just have some 400-pound guy that's not in shape and put him up against like Alex Pereira, John Jones, he's gonna get fucked up. You know what I mean? But it seems like I would say most of the population would say someone bigger favors them. That's what Elon thinks. That does not seem to be what Chael necessarily thinks. It doesn't necessarily seem to be what Rhonda thinks in a way. And I forget where I began this. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I just finished a 12-hour shift. But in going the back and forth, and especially with Rogan talking about someone smaller, so like back a couple months ago, Mighty Mouse tapped out a guy at a grappling tournament that was every bit 3 times his size. And I'm talking Demetrius Johnson, real tiny guy. I first had an interest in jiu-jitsu. I still remember where I was and everything. And it was like, I knew what the UFC, I had heard of the UFC. I think more of anything I had heard of Brock Lesnar because he was in WWE. And maybe he left to go to UFC. I don't know. But I was in this Rainbow Six MSN gaming chat room. Like, you're in this chat area before you can join the game. And you get to talking to people, like chatting through typing on a keyboard. And we're doing all that. And someone tells me about it. I end up going and watching, and they're telling me about jiu-jitsu and all this. And I go and I watch this video. I'm on freaking dial-up, so it's like really slow. It took forever to get the video to play. And it was like grainy and crap. But it was this little Asian girl. I say little, like she's an adult, but she's like, man, 125 pounds. And if I had to guess her height, I would have said she's 5'6". Like, she's short. And no joke, she's up against what looked like Brock Lesnar. Not literally him, but like someone with the build of Brock Lesnar. She had a gi on. If I remember right, he did not. He immediately just kind of plows over and gets on and is on top of her. Now, I don't know all these terms at the time. I just remember this. And I'm like, what the heck's going on? Because he's laying on her, but then he can't really do anything. It's like she spider monkeys him, is just what I remember thinking. And she's latched onto him. She's holding the guard is what she's doing. And slowly by slowly, I mean, it took like 3 or 4 minutes. She ends up on his back. And slowly by slowly, she ends up locking in a rear naked choke. And I was just blown away. It blew my mind. I was absolutely fascinated. I was in love. That right there just grabbed me for life. And this is something that I find out years later. I end up going and finding out that I'm high level functioning autistic. And where I found this being my autism or whatever kind of benefits me is where I'll think an extra step where a lot of people, I guess, stop. And I didn't know that until it started getting explained to me. But, so, this little girl grappling, she's not a girl. I keep saying that just because she's smaller than the person she went against. But the female woman grappling at a huge size disadvantage outperformed someone with a bigger disadvantage. So in my head, I was like, what if we got all the big guys where they could do all that? They could do all that grappling. And that was been an outlook for a long time. It's like, man, you could make some killers. Through time, I realized the human traits of laziness overcome a lot of things. Usually when someone gets that big, they don't have the flexibility, although it is possible. We've seen people be that big and be that flexible, but most of them aren't willing to put in the work. Like, why would you put in the work to all that grappling when one punch can knock someone out? You know what I mean? So it's like, in the UFC, we didn't even see a head kick from heavyweights for a long, long time. It was few people, like Czech Congo was one of the ones that could throw a head kick. I want to say Tim Sylvia could too. But you get the idea. So the whole point of this video, 15 minutes long, it got a little long. If someone's bigger, do they truly have an advantage in a fight? And anymore, I don't know. I would say if you have two uneducated people, yeah. But if you have two educated people, I don't know anymore. Especially when the smaller person like is educated in the sense of how to use their small to their advantage. Like being more flexible, being more quick, closing on the inside with striking. I don't know. Now, I'm not saying I want to go fight someone way, way bigger than me or anything. I'm not trying to say that. This is just a concept that I'm thinking about. It's just interesting. What are your thoughts? Do you feel like if someone's bigger, they automatically have an advantage in fighting? I know sometimes when I look at strikers, I'm way, way into striking, and I look at someone, back in the day when I first got into it, I see someone real muscular, like looking like a bodybuilder, or looking, you know, super, super strong and ripped. They're hanging out in the gym lifting weights all the time. I was intimidated. Nowadays, I see that, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be easy. This is going to be light. They're going to try to be heavy with their punches, but they're not going to be fast enough. They're going to be relying on strength and sparring, and it's going to backfire. So, in a little bit of my life, I have shifted that way. I'm like, all that muscle doesn't work in striking. They don't perfect their technique either. Not all of them. I'm not singling everyone out. But, all right, this turned into a really long video. In summary, do you feel like size is a huge advantage in fighting? Feel free to share your comments. I want you to share your comments. I want to talk about this in the comments. And be sure to subscribe. I'm getting views now, so now I need to get subscribers. And thank you for watching if you made it this far. This is the War Lab, where we do big time things. Let me restart that. Big time players make big time plays. And we do big things every round, baby. Making that Tootsie Roll.